Everyone, I am about to introduce to you author LAILA Ibrahim, and this is, I think, the fourth time I'm talking to her. I don't know, I love her so much, and we're going to be talking about this book right here, Living Right. I cried, okay? I may get emotional when I'm talking to her about this. This book is amazing, and I had to ask her, I don't know if I think it was her second book. I don't know if it was her first or second, but anyway, everyone, here is LAILA. Hi, everyone. I am so excited because I am speaking with LAILA Ibrahim again. I think this is our fourth one. It has to be.
It is. It's our fourth one. I mean, hopefully there'll be more books, but the only four that are out right now, you've got them all.
I don't know how we missed. I remember you mentioning this book to me a while ago. And then when I went to post our last one, I was like, wait, we never did talk about this book. We have to talk about it. We got to get it all in. And then I finished it last night. I finished it early this morning, and I was so emotional. So emotional. LAILA. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little story before we start talking about this book because I have to, because I'm dedicating this interview to my cousin Ardith, who is no longer with us, but she was my favorite cousin. And she was 4 years older than me, so I idolized, worshipped her, right? So come, so we grew up together, come early 80s. She had graduated. She had gone away to college, NYU, came back, tells everybody she's a lesbian, right? Now, we're all evangelical Christians. This is what I'm growing up in, okay? This is my church.
So this book spoke to you. Wow.
That's why I have to tell the story. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, so she comes, but I don't remember, I remember being like, okay, I just remember my mom crying, right? Like hysterically crying, and my dad kind of laughing, like, huh, okay. She played softball. Of course she's a lesbian.
Of course she is. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, my grandparents were coming into town. They were also, evangelical Christians. And I was like, so I didn't really talk to anybody about it, but I was out with them alone. And I wasn't going to bring it up. And my grandmother kind of brought it up to me. And she said, did you hear about Ardith? And I said, yeah. I was like, are you okay? And she's like, you know what? I told her that I don't talk about my sex life. So I don't know why we have to talk about hers. And I remember being like, whoa. It was so, she said it's so matter of fact, and she was so accepting. And I was like, so I kind of went through her, I
queued off of her.
Yeah. So I still didn't, I hadn't seen Ardith, and she'd come back, and then she had moved into an apartment with her girlfriend, and she invited me over. And I remember walking into their bedroom and seeing a double bed and being like, oh, okay, so you guys really, you're a couple.
Like you really are a couple.
And I just, I mean, it didn't change any. I mean, she died of ovarian cancer a little while ago, and I was very sad. It was bad. But I just wanted, because as I'm reading this book and I'm remembering those feelings, and of course, it all got better in the family. It didn't stay sad. It didn't stay that way.
Yeah. Everybody was able to come around.
Oh yeah. She was, her girlfriend was a part of our family. It was always a part of and everything. But this took me back there, to those feelings. And then I stayed with the church for a long time, and I raised my children, my older children, in the church. And what I kept relating to Jen on so many levels because I was like, my older children have come to forgive me, okay? Because as I was getting out, and I'm not even kidding, I hate to make it sound cultish, I really do, because I have people from every denomination and every walks of life watching my videos. But there comes a time, there is a line, and it becomes a cult. Because when you can't accept, and when everything is a sin, and everything is like you have to step back, and I did, it was like stepping back and being like, wait a second, it doesn't resonate anymore. And I can get really emotional talking about it, but I had to go to my older children and apologize in big ways and they were not kind, because it was bad. It was hurtful. They'd gone through their teenage stuff. I felt like when they screwed up, I was going to hell, and then they were going to hell, and then everybody was going to hell.
Yeah.
And my one daughter, we have long talks about it. Still, she tells me how traumatizing it was for her. So I just say, I'm not trying to say every Christian. I'm just saying that there are churches, that there are lines that you just, when everything is a sin, you need to step back. You need to really.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting because I think actually fundamentalism across all religious traditions are more similar to each other.
Yes.
And then the kind of liberal traditions across all religious traditions are more similar to each other.
Yeah.
And partly it is about like the certainty, like knowing you are absolutely right and that you have, the one path to salvation and nobody else does, right? Like that's what those fundamentalist traditions have in common. And of course, you don't always know that you're in that until you cross it. Like with Jen, right? Like she didn't realize.
Right. That's why I related to her, because you really don't. And I can tell you this because we're friends. We've talked, me. Like every once in a while, like like I'll hear a news thing and I'll be like, that voice comes back and I'm like, shut up. Like what? Like I have to shut it up.
Yeah.
Because you get so brainwashed in a weird way. And then my daughter told me that it happened to her. And she's like, Mom, do you ever like think something and then you wonder where the thought is coming from? I was like, yes. I'm like, unfortunately, like some things are just, you have to face them and you gotta, it's a work. It's a work in progress of fixing it.
Yeah. One of my favorite bumper stickers is "Don't believe everything you think."
There you go.
So it's just kind of being aware of that, like, this is what I think and why, and examining that and being willing to question it.
Yeah. And I can now go to church. I didn't go to church for a long time. I just had a real fear of going, like I didn't know what would happen, but I have been, and I can go in there and I can accept, I can say, okay, I don't agree with, whatever. I can not agree and be okay.
Yeah.
And just like the presence of a church.
Right. And like this part of it, but not that part of it and things like that.
Yeah. And I'm not going to go to hell. I don't think.
No. My theology is definitely that you will not go to hell. Right?
That's
God's
right.
a loving
That's
God. And, can forgive way, way, way more than that. Right?
So yeah, I love this story. I thought you did such an amazing job I was like, oh my gosh, was she there? Was she following me?
It does seem to be the thing I'm good about. Somebody just said to me, just read Paper Wife and was just like, how could you take me into that world of being Chinese 100 years ago? And other people have said that about being evangelical Christian. Like, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly how I do it, but I certainly can empathize with people and then just try to really understand.
Yeah.
Both how they're like me, right? How we have shared humanity,
right,
and how they're different from me, and what the trappings are that make it be a unique culture that's different than mine.
Yeah. And you know what? At the end, and I'm not going to give away ending, like I'm not going to give away story, but when she was changing and you take her changes and she started getting rejected. And I did that. I actually went through a divorce over it. I mean, it was, because it's an ideology that if you can't line up, and it's almost like when he was here, I was here. And then when I was here, we couldn't figure it out. And, and people didn't, when I was coming out of it, people weren't understanding, and it is that way, unfortunately,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so LAILA was there. So she helped,
Right.
But it just, I carried this with me all day today. I really did. I haven't, I have other books I have to start and I'm trying to just work into them, but I really walked around with this today and I'm so happy I read it.
That's so great. Well, thank you. I'm so glad you did. And it's my little orphan book, right? It's the one that's not a Lake Union book. And I just, they told me they didn't want to publish it. And I really had, and then just like, it's not really historical fiction. It is a little bit more now, but it was a little more contemporary.
Yeah.
And was just doesn't fit in with my other novels. And but I felt called to get that story into the world, and I really did have the feeling like there are people for whom I think it might literally save their lives.
Yeah.
Right? Reading the story, if their parents, are kind of
Yes. Oh
rejecting
my
of them,
God. Yes.
but that they could read the story and kind of just open up their hearts a little bit, and also get comfort from it, right? Because
Right.
I do recognize that those I really had to get to a place where I was like, okay, if how would it feel to be Jen? To like feel like I don't want to go to heaven without Josh. Like that makes me cry, right? Like if
But
I felt like
yeah.
this was my child's actual salvation, I would do anything to get them to be saved, of course.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so true. And my oldest daughter, she ended up, I don't want to say run away because she was 18, so she can go where
yeah,
she can do whatever she wants. But she
yeah.
left in a
She
very
separated from you. Yes.
hurry, in a far way, right? And I
Yeah.
remember all my Christian friends saying to me, "Okay, so you're not praying right."
Yes, like is what happened to Jen, right?
Yeah,
And to, yeah,
you're not
Josh.
praying right. You need to get this together. You need to get
Yeah.
yourself together.
If
As
you
I'm
only ask God correctly, you'll get
Yeah,
it.
you're not
Oh,
doing your, and I'm thinking, God, I know my Bible like freaking inside and out. Like I need some, like I don't know what to do. And the harder I prayed for her to come back. But you know what the cool thing is that I accepted her where she was. She went to Texas. I'm in Pennsylvania. She met a guy, she got married, has kids. She's back. And now I get to be a part of her life, and we are on a
nice.
different level. And
Yeah.
but I stopped praying for it. I just started accepting that
Yeah.
her life, who she was.
Yeah.
And because she had two kids, then got married. Then and she was like, I'm not doing it your way. I'm not going that. I'm
Yeah.
going to do it my way. And it was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And I had to stand up for her to people. And I had to, they'd say, why isn't she getting married? I'd say, she doesn't want to get married yet. She'll get married when she wants to get married. That'll
Yeah.
happen,
Right. And to
So,
love her, whatever her choices were, and let her live with the consequences of them.
yes. And then my
Right.
other three children, I raised them completely different. And it was a different world for them. And sometimes the older ones get a little resentful towards that. But, you can only grow. You can only show what you know as you know it, right?
Yes. Yeah. You know what you know when you know it.
You know
Yeah.
what you know when you know it, right?
Yeah.
So, I feel like it was my story. I feel like
Oh, that's so great. I had no idea. Although I think maybe the first time I had an inkling that you might have been, you've been
Did
going
you?
through some
I
things,
figured
but
you might because like I said, I talk to everybody. I talk to anybody who writes a book, and I don't make this a political channel, and I don't make it a religious channel, and I just talk to people who write. That's my deal.
yeah.
But when
Yeah.
I resonate, I let it know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
you know
Right.
I can't shut up. So, I have to resonate. I am human, but I try not to make it too political. But I just, like I said, this book, yes, it will save people. You came out with it in 2016. I am shocked. I didn't realize, did you self-publish it?
I did. Yeah.
You did. Okay. And
Yeah.
I think the first time that I talked to you when I saw it, I didn't know that it was a novel. I thought it was nonfiction.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I
I
thought
see
it was
that.
not, like a little how people do that? They do like
Yeah.
little nonfiction
Yeah.
pamphlet
Yeah.
things. I think that's what I thought at
Reflections.
first.
Yeah.
First saw the cover. And
Yeah.
everything. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was
So
looking at the cover. It
I
does say
know,
a
looking at
novel
the
on it,
cover.
but it's
Yeah,
kind of
it does
small.
say a
Yeah.
novel though. If I would have
Yeah.
looked a little closer.
Yeah, you would have seen that. Right. There it is.
Well,
I love the cover. I had to get a cover designer to do it myself.
I
And
love
he did
well,
a
I
great
love that
job,
cover.
didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? This topic doesn't, no matter what the problem is, no matter whether it's gay marriage, what right now, with immigrants, no matter what it is, like it so resonates. I think it will continue. This novel will continue to be important for whatever is going
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
because gay
Yeah.
marriage is becoming more acceptable. More states are, we're not really,
Mhm.
battling it as much, I should say. Here's what I think. When I hear people saying that we are, I'm like, we are. What year is it, people? Like, why are we still talking about this?
Exactly.
You
Right.
know?
You might be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
you
won
might.
that
It's like,
battle,
wow.
but maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
But still in hearts and minds, and when it's your own child and coming to accept that. The other thing that I found interesting that I hadn't quite realized was how there are actually many people who are straight, who have gay friends, who kind of are like, well, is this not, why it's not a big deal. And then they read a novel like this and they go, did you go through this? And their gay friends will be like, yeah, I did go through something like that. And then they just have a whole different level of understanding of what it
Yes.
was like
Yes.
for their friends or family members to come out, particularly in the 80s and 90s.
Right. And when
Yeah.
I look back, I think, oh, well, we have come, it feels like we've come far, but maybe not as quickly as we should have come, but it does feel like, okay, well, it's not nobody, like my kids that are 19 and 20, like they don't even care. It doesn't
Yeah.
even, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
cool to watch them not even care,
Yeah.
not even hit the blip of like, so what? Like,
Right.
just like race, just like, things that we're a part of that isn't even their world anymore,
Exactly.
and that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah. There have been huge changes. Yeah. One time around the dinner table, I don't remember what the context was, but there were like 5 kids, the 5 children that, I'm in community with. And I can't remember exactly what they said. And I looked at one of them and I said, why don't you ask the grown-ups around the table how many of them knew someone with 2 moms or 2 dads when they were little? So they went around and they asked each of the adults, and none of us, 0, none of us knew anybody who had 2 moms or 2 dads. And the look on their faces, they were just incredulous. You mean you didn't know one? No, you must have known one person who had 2 moms or dads. And we're like, no.
I know, exactly. I remember my son went to a Catholic school. We're not Catholic, but it was for lots of reasons, whatever. He ended up going there. And I remember he was going away with one of his friends. And I said, well, can I meet their parents? And he said, you can meet his moms. And I was like, oh, he's got 2 moms, like at a Catholic school. I was like, oh, he has 2 moms. He's like, yeah, he's got 2 moms. I'm like, okay. Like,
okay.
Right. And that was very,
rolls off their tongue.
Yeah. It was just rolls off there. Well, you can meet you can meet his moms.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It's like they don't think anything of it, and that's cool.
They don't.
It's very, very cool.
You know. Oh wait, I have to tell you one more story. This is one of my favorite stories. I have to get in a book at some point. So a boy who's my neighbor who has 2 moms. He's playing in our backyard with a friend, and I hear him say, "There can only be one mommy." And I was like, really? There can only be one mommy? I don't think that's a very good idea. And he goes, no, there can only be one mommy. And the little girl he's playing with goes, yes, there can only be one mommy. And then he looks at her and he says, so you be the mommy and I'll be the mama.
Right. Right. It makes me think of Neil Patrick Harris and his partner, because I think they go by like dad and father.
Or
something.
Papa or Poppy or whatever. It's true. You need 2 different names. It really does help to have one mommy and one mama.
Yeah. I love that.
Out of the mouth of babes.
Out of the mouth of babes. So now I'm like, all right, Lila, I've read them all. Like, let's go.
The other one, the next one's going to be out March of 2020. So it's going to be a while. But I like writing kind of slowly, and yeah. You went through my 4 quickly, right? So,
I know, but I don't remember what the next one's about. Tell me. I forget.
The next one is a continuation of the Yellow Crocus families. Yeah. So it's set between Oakland and Chicago in 1893 and 1894. So Sadie is an adult and trying to get pregnant and has had many miscarriages, who was Lisbeth's daughter, and Jordan is facing the loss of her mom. Her mother just died. Maddie dies at the beginning of the book. So, and then moves to Oakland and tries to make a new life for herself there.
Interesting. I was just watching a documentary. I watch a lot of documentaries. And there was a crash, wasn't it, during that time?
Yes, in 1893. And then after it's the Pullman strike, which is part of why I picked that time period, and the Pullman porters, which is why a lot of African Americans are moving to Oakland because of the Pullman porters. And then it's also the things I've learned about recently as I did this research, a big time of suffrage in California. Yes. There was actually a proposition on the ballot in 1896. So in 94 and 95, it's going through the state legislature. So they become activists for women's suffrage. So
I almost feel smart now because I knew that.
Yeah, because you knew that. Yeah, it was a big it was a similar time like we're in now. because we're in this fourth technological wave that's really affecting humanity.
Right.
So the first one was the Steel Age, right? Or
Right.
when the Bronze Age,
The
and then
Bronze
the
Age.
second one was agricultural, and then the third one was the Industrial Revolution. So that was the one that was happening
Right.
in the 1890s, and the railroad and all the industrialization. And now we're in the computer age,
Yeah.
which just changes everything. Yeah, and it's interesting to think, yeah, as we're living through this enormously
Yeah.
transitional time that's affecting all
Yeah.
always, including as you and I talk to each other on
I
this,
know.
right? Like, it's so different.
When we figure it out.
You're in Pennsylvania, I'm here, and we can see each
And
other
we get
and
to
chat.
talk.
Like,
Right.
it's a miracle.
Oh, we'll
Yeah.
show the cover one more time. I am
Okay.
so happy. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so
for
much.
writing it, and I hope
You're
it
welcome.
lives on for like, I hope you always get, you know, especially because it's your baby, because you
It
published it.
is my baby.
You
I
know?
know. Yeah, I still sell like 80, 90, 100 a month. So I'm like, that's good. It's so
That's
sweet, right?
awesome.
People find it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're not going to be able to talk next year. How's that going to
No,
work?
it's going to be a while. Well, yeah. Yeah, it'll be a while.
I know.
Yeah.
How is that going to
Yeah.
work?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'll put you in my calendar. You put me on your calendar.
I will.
For,
I will.
March of 2020.
Okay, for
Crazy.
sure.
Okay.
For sure. Well,
great.
now we got them all done. I feel complete. So until the next
Yay!
time, have a great night. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.